Indian Scott digging through the past. Crazy tales they uncover fast. History's stranger than you think. They'll also talk about wieners in a blink. They'll talk about wieners in a blink. Oddball history.
Boom, 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 how.
A boom, boom, boom.
A how.
Don't steal my fucking boom, boom thunder, you piece of shit.
You didn't do it right away, so I lost faith. I was like, oh,
he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it.
He's not going to do it. It was kind of like when I was a kid.
What a contentious start.
A very contentious start.
When
I
you
was
were
a kid, we were at a song and dance show at Six Flags Over Texas, and they were singing God Bless Texas by Little Texas.
Yeah.
And they were going through the crowd, and I loved the song God Bless Texas by Little Texas.
Okay.
Huge fan.
I don't remember Little Texas. Was it God Bless Texas?
They had a couple hits back in the day on country radio and pop country radio.
Hell yeah.
And so the guy comes in the crowd, and I'm like, this is my moment. God, I hope he comes to me because I'm going to knock it out of the fucking park. Yeah. And then the guy, sure enough, comes over to me, but he, like I just did, he instantly loses faith that I know the song. Yeah. Because there's like beat. You wait for a beat, and then you say, God bless Texas. You know, like that.
Oh,
and he
dropped
panicked.
the mic in front of you and went, this fucking kid doesn't know.
He panicked. Yeah, he covered the mic and went, say God bless Texas. But when he did that was right when my cue would have been. That when he was talking was right when I was gonna say God bless Texas. And I tell you, I hate that guy to this day. I've never gotten over it.
Yeah, that's rightful anger. Little Texas ruined your moment.
Yeah, and it wasn't Little Texas. I can't stress enough. It was a bunch of teenagers in like musical theater programs locally that they would sing and dance to country hits of the day.
Six Flags Over Texas. Good clean fun.
Good clean fun.
I always laugh. That was like the power of peer pressure. I was terrified of roller coasters in elementary school.
Yeah.
Wouldn't ride them. We'd get summer passes to Six Flags, and then my mom and I would go do other things. While my other brothers, I have two older brothers, and my dad would go ride roller coasters, and we'd go shoot water guns at boats.
Watch cowboys have staged gunfights.
Yes.
Which is fun.
And then we went on one like co-ed trip with like chaperones, and I don't remember if it was for school or something, but girls were there, and it was 6th or 7th grade with the time that was more important.
Yes.
And I had zero hesitation. It was just like, oh yeah, I ride roller coasters.
Yeah. Never
haven't. Love them.
I remember doing the same thing.
Big adventure guy, I don't know.
I remember doing the same thing, and I didn't go all the way. I didn't do like the Texas Giant. I didn't do the Texas Giant till like I was in high school. But in middle school, I remember I did the cliffhanger, which I was always scared of. The one that like it's just really high, and you kind of just teeter there for a while, and then it's a free fall, and you kind of slide out.
Yeah,
I think it was.
I remember it was just big news when the Titan came.
Oh, huge news.
Huge news.
Finally, a giant coaster that won't destroy your spine like the fucking Texas Giant.
One of the last like big wooden ones.
Yeah.
I haven't been in 20 years, so I don't know if it's still operating anymore, but
I think it is, but it's not just wood now. They
reinforced it a little bit.
Stabilized it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I remember that was like the first really bad back pain of my life. I was probably like 15 years old, and I was on the Texas Giant.
Walking around like a middle-aged man.
Yeah.
Like, ooh.
There was a part of the Texas Giant that was just like bumps, kind of. You were just bumping like side to side.
Yeah.
And that thing, it was, doing
not good.
A number on my young spine.
But speaking of young spines, perfect transition.
Perfect transition.
Young spines. We're doing one of the craziest baseball players ever, Rube Waddell.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be the craziest. Reading these stories, Rube Waddell, you know a little bit about him. You might have heard of him on the internet. But
the real name is George Edward Waddell.
Yeah, went by Ed and Eddie sometimes.
Very quickly, his first team called him Rube.
Yeah, he became Rube the minute he became a pro baseball player.
And it's an insult for an idiot.
Yeah.
And the team,
they're calling him a hayseed.
the team said we called him a rube on account of him being a rube.
Because he was a rube. That was a great quote. Yeah.
But he was also one of the best pitchers ever, broke a lot of records.
Yeah, he has records that still stand for like left-handed AL strikeout. Like he was the first, he was kind of what Babe Ruth was to home runs, he was to strikeouts.
Yeah.
Like when he was at his best, no one was even close to him.
Which, a testament to how wild his off-the-field issues were.
Yeah.
Is that he played at the same time as Cy Young.
Yeah.
Beat Cy Young in heads-up competition multiple times. Broke records Cy Young didn't break.
Yeah.
But just couldn't keep it on the tracks for long enough to...
Yeah, but nobody could talk about him for more than a sentence without being like, have you heard about this shit that he... He was like truly one of a kind.
He fought a bear and banged my wife.
Yeah. And then he didn't remember at all because he was hammered that whole time.
He was hammered the whole time. Big drinking problem, but before we get into the many stories of Rube Waddell, of which there are many.
There are so goddamn many.
As always, the top comments.
Top comments of the week, baby. I decided to go kind of easy listening.
Welcome to the top comments with Oddball History, but first a joke by me, AI. Today, we focus on Rube Waddell, a pitcher known for his eccentric antics both on and off the field. Rube Waddell was a baseball player whose unpredictable behavior made him a legend. Known for leaving games to chase fire trucks or wrestling alligators in the off-season, his antics were as famous as his fastball. Despite his quirks, Waddell's talent on the mound was undeniable, making him a memorable figure in baseball history. Here's a lighthearted joke inspired by Waddell's legacy. Why did Rube Waddell bring a ladder to the baseball game? Because he heard the Yankees were going to the top of the standings and wanted a better view. Waddell's unpredictable nature makes him a perfect subject for humor. Now for those top comments, chaos reigns.
So that first top comment is coming from the funny names clip about all the old gangsters from New York.
And the names, again, the names might be the best part. Yes. The names are so good. The Dead Rabbits, the Roach Guards, the Plug Uglies, the 40 Thieves, the Shirt Tails, the Carryonians, the Gopher Gang. Okay, the Gopher Gang started in the 1890s by Marty Brennan, Newberg Gallagher, and Stumpy Malarkey. Stumpy Malarkey, are you kidding me? Other famous members of the Gopher Gang include Oni Madden, James Biff Ellison, and Goo Goo Knox. That's right, Goo Goo Knox. A.
And this guy goes, man, I bet Goo Goo Knox would freaking disembowel us if he knew we were laughing.
Yeah, I gotta agree there.
You got a boy named Sue situation?
Yeah, a big boy named
a guy
Goo
that goes
Goo.
by Goo Goo.
Yeah,
is going to commit some atrocious violence upon you for laughing at Goo Goo.
Yeah. And if he ever has a son, he's going to name him Bill or George, any damn thing but Goo Goo. Remember Johnny Cash? We miss you, Johnny.
Remember Johnny Cash.
remember Johnny Cash. But that is so true. That was the key to having fun with last week's episode, is the fact that all these guys are safely dead and can't fucking knife us and crush us with brick bats.
We're gonna do an episode about active cartels.
Yeah. Oh man,
picking on specifically
really turn up the heat on their names.
Yeah.
Like, look at this
moron.
bozo.
Yeah, nice curly pointed shoes, you loser.
Oh, also, Bill the Butcher, I misspoke. I said he was Irish. He was English. His father was English. So it's still ridiculous that he was so anti-immigrant. He was a fresh immigrant. But the fact that I called him Irish, he was spinning in his
he would not have liked
his grave. If he stalked this world as a ghost, I would have got scratched that night.
Oh yeah,
that's for sure. But he wouldn't care for it.
Our next top comment I wanted to include, because Instagram deleted something that Scott said.
Yeah,
where this guy, and on YouTube somebody else commented.
Yeah,
because our clip about Piker Ryan and his menu for violence.
Yeah, his crime menu.
There's a really nice looking graphic, and then in the book it had different numbers, and so we were like reading aloud numbers to a clearly that didn't match up with the graphic on screen.
Yeah, so people are like, hey goobers, which is it?
Yeah.
What are the prices here? I need to know for my pocketbook. It says punching $1, both eyes blacked $3. That's a good deal. Nose and jaw broke $7. Jacked out, knocked out with a blackjack. Which I'm glad they said
We
that.
need to clarify.
I would not have been sure if jacked out meant blackjack.
I'll do violence for under 10. Over 10, it's getting sex. And Scott said our fact checker, Sickly Greg,
he died.
and he died. He passed away.
We were, yeah.
Which I've loved Sickly Greg, the fact checker.
Yeah, and it is his fault, but we're going to look past that because he's no longer with us.
Don't kick a dead guy.
Yeah,
you know?
don't comment. Look.
Is that what the saying is? It's don't kick a dead horse, but quite literally we mean it this time.
But don't kick a dead guy either, probably.
Leave Sickly Greg out of this.
Yeah.
We're going to make mistakes, and that's going to be fine.
Our unpaid interns and assistants are going to die because we don't have insurance. There's not like tons of healthy candidates knocking down our door to work for free on our show.
Yeah.
So we have to hire the infirm and elderly.
Yes.
And they're going to die. It's just a fact of life.
Which we have a new fact checker. Her name is Imminent Doom Carol.
Yeah, that's right.
So, hey, fingers crossed she sticks around for a minute,
reminds me,
everybody.
and honestly, she reminds me of a young Greg in the way that she coughs like all the time.
It's a death rattle.
It is it's the
unsettling.
emptiest cough. It sounds like a bird flapping around a cave.
That's a dark picture for a solitary crow.
Yeah. So, but we're looking forward to working with Carol, though.
We got
she is good.
We got a bunch of comments.
Not coughing.
Yes, Carol. She'll be dead soon, but that's okay. We got a bunch of comments on the John C. Woods comment clip. John C. Woods, a famous American executioner that lied on his resume and hung all the Nazi brass in World War II.
Yeah.
After
hilarious story.
This guy, Lightning Larry 10. They picked him on purpose because they knew he'd do a job. They suffered more because of him. He even had to go under the curtain and strangle some to death with his hands.
We did discuss that in the longer discussion on the episode of him having to go behind the curtain and grab
they weren't dying, so he had to go grab his legs and pull him down more into it.
He was like, "Whew, this day is a beast."
But as a government employee, I can assure you, it was oversight and they didn't really care. There wasn't some back room like, hey, let's get a executioner so
these guys really
he messes them all up. And
everyone here was trying their best.
They all died. Okay, mission accomplished.
What do you want? That's what he was saying the whole time. He's like, "What do you want?" They're dead.
Okay,
and they're like, "No, that one's still twitching." And he's like, "Excuse me." And he goes behind the curtain.
One moment, please.
That story is so funny.
It's so funny.
I can't believe it every time I remember it. It's hilarious.
Well, it's like both the clips about him got a lot of views because it's just a guy lied on his resume about executing people, and they let him execute people, and he executed some of the most famous villains of war in modern history.
It's so good. How has it not been like
Fake
a movie?
It till you make
like a black comedy movie.
So like
the story of John C.
Think Eddie Murphy would do it?
He could.
Okay.
Hell yeah, he could.
Okay.
Eddie Murphy could play anybody. I think we've all seen Dr. Dolittle.
I want to go on the record. Scott did not want to play with my joke about saying a black comedy.
No, because that's just what I meant. I was thinking Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
I was thinking let's get Eddie Murphy.
We're going to get him in here.
We'll figure it out.
This guy goes, why can't these podcasters buy decent mic arms?
How about these decent mic arms? we've talked about it.
Nathan Plegg, fucking come get some of this. Yeah. All right.
No, but I liked your quick agreement. You're like,
first off, how dare you? Secondly, you're right. Yeah, we should get them.
All right.
Now that we're back in my house, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And then on that one, Sean Witten, he's a regular commenter, listener.
Yeah.
Enjoy him.
Sean Witten.
He goes, Herman Goering was scrambling to get his hands on those pills after he heard about them. John C. Woods, which cracks me up. Just seeing all those heads rattle against.
And Goering was a big fat guy. He would have been ultra doomed
he would not
by
fit
the
through.
too slim trap door.
He'd just get stuck like a cartoon in the trap door.
It would have been Homer in the tank.
He's got to come from above and choke him. Yeah. That'd be in the black comedy, everybody.
It'll be in there. It would be very funny.
Oh, and then a guy corrected me on the original John C. Woods clip because classic Jimmy doesn't know words.
Okay.
The past tense of a hanging is hanged.
Yeah.
And this guy goes...
Yeah. Oh, all right.
And he goes,
I saw that.
He goes, hanged, horses are hung.
Yeah.
I was like, good line, solid line.
Yeah, but as we learned in our Animals in Trouble with the Law episode, horses are also sometimes hanged. So it's not really that
Go
firm
check that
of a
one
rule.
out. One of my favorite clips.
I don't think we even covered any of those because I was like, "Oh, this isn't even funny. This is just them hanging horses." There's no zaniness about it.
You can see some pictures of pigs or paintings of pigs getting hung, which is very sad. But
the court
like,
just
why to punish them? Just eat them. You know.
Yeah.
You can eat them normal.
You could just eat them.
Seems punishment
It would be
enough.
a lot less weird.
Yeah.
And for some reason, less sad. I don't know why.
Still my favorite.
But it's less sad that me eating a pig than him being sentenced to death in a court of law.
My favorite clip we've ever made wasn't too popular online, but I loved it. Was from the Animals on Trial episode, and it was about Jacques Ferron.
Oh, I
The
love
Frenchman
that story.
He fucked a donkey and was put on trial and executed because of it. And that is the only record of him ever existing. So many names and people lost to time. The common man often gets overlooked.
Yeah.
But Jacques Ferron will forever be alive because he fucked a donkey.
As the man who fucked a donkey.
So God bless him.
I imagine goat or donkey
Was frowned upon.
I imagine when they're making
Still
that
frowned
call
upon.
up at St. Peter's lectern or whatever.
He's flipping through the book
fucking
going, checks out, went to church, decent dude. Oh, had kids, good dad. All right. Hey, whoa, what's that?
Whoa.
Whoa.
Wow.
Sir, page 72. Please look at that one with me.
You couldn't have given me a heads up on that? You didn't think I was going to see it?
Just lead with that.
The final one was that John C. Woods clip. The comment section got away from us on that one.
A little bit.
There was some Nazi stuff going on,
Yeah.
which, hey.
People going, hey, y'all need to check out this documentary. It's not available anywhere.
Yeah, you gotta go to the dark web. Yeah, a guy goes, perhaps you should learn about the greatest story never told, which is a Hitler propaganda film. And the byline of it, or the explanation, is it depicts Hitler as an unfairly maligned hero.
Okay.
Hey, there's always two sides to every story.
I'll be honest, I don't know if I'm going to be checking that one out, but
I did like the intro for a guy involved with it, David Croteau, which I've never heard of him. But it was just his perennial Green Party candidate, Libertarian Party official, and Holocaust denier, David Croteau.
what an intro.
Which is, hey, at least he cares about the environment.
Yeah.
That's kind of good. Then some guy goes, do you feel like we won World War II? And then another guy was like, what existed post-war that didn't exist previously? There was a clear winner. He's talking about Israel, I believe. Bros need to watch Europa, The Last Battle, which was a Swedish neo-Nazi film.
All right.
Nice to see. Still a white guy.
All right.
But one over there, not one of our own.
Yeah, we don't have the market cornered.
No, it's like when a lady does a shooting, and you're like, finally, some equality around here.
Yeah, that's right. That's very much like this Katharine Hepburn movie I watched last night where she's a lawyer and she goes against Spencer Tracy, who's a lawyer, and get this, they're married.
Oh, no. You think that'd be a conflict of interest in real life? But
you do, but they were just too damn lovable. The judge was like, I got to let this go.
We're going to let you two keep...
Jesus, y'all are adorable.
Yeah.
They would look at each other under the table.
So that wraps up the top comment section.
Top comments of the week.
Yeah, sorry about the Nazi stuff.
Yeah,
we don't control
bad.
We don't control who gets a hold of a clip every now and then, and or go yell at some Nazis. John C. Woods.
Yeah.
So check that out. But yeah, so today we were covering Rube Waddell,
Big Rube,
one of the greatest baseball players in history. He was a young man from Pennsylvania. Grew up on a farm, zero formal education.
That's right.
What he credits with his arm strength is that he did spend a tremendous amount of time throwing rocks at birds.
Yeah, he would throw rocks at crows to keep them off the seed on his farm, which is amazing. And in addition, he worked at like drilling sites and mining sites from the time he was like a small child. So he is real country strong.
He actually got an injury during his career because throughout it he'd play with little kids all the time.
Yeah, he didn't care.
He didn't care.
Yeah,
and he was showing these kids how to throw a curveball, However, he was using a brick to demonstrate it.
Yeah.
And he tweaked his shoulder.
He's
Weird.
like, it'll be fine.
It's crazy.
It'll be fine.
He's like, let me show you how to throw a curveball. You got a ball? He's like, no. It's like,
well, do you have any?
do you have any oddly shapen heavy things?
Yeah.
I can make anything curve.
Yeah. If you can curve a brick, you can curve a baseball.
Yes.
If you can talk to a dolphin, you can talk to an alien. Shout out John C. Lilly.
John C. Lilly.
Was that C or am I thinking of Woods?
No, it was John C. Lilly.
All right.
Yeah.
In any case, John Lilly, shout out. Jacking dolphins off and stuff.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, Rube becomes Rube. The minute he gets to the Louisville Colonels, someone yells out, "Hey, Rube," when they see him, and for good reason. He would literally chew on stalks of hay like a hee-haw character. And he was huge, especially for the time. Well, he's like 6'2", 220.
Yeah.
But for that time, that's like
the biggest man that's ever existed.
yes, that's the hugest man who's ever existed.
I love the Shane Gillis story of George Washington, of putting him in context of having wooden teeth, which you could picture, but probably look nightmarish. And he was like 6'3", so he was big. It was just wooden tooth giant man. Our first president, God bless him, you know?
Yeah, man.
But at a young age, Rube had a fascination with fire trucks.
Yeah.
He loved, and they say his dad, he went missing one time when he was like 3 or 4 years old.
3 years old.
Yeah. And they found him at a fire station, and the firemen were just like, yeah, he showed up yesterday, just seemed like a good kid.
Yeah. Apparently his dad goes, apparently when his dad got there, he was sleeping on the floor of the fire station. Yeah. And he goes, what's he doing here? And the firefighter was like, I think he likes it here. Yeah. That was their exchange. And then, yeah, this was at 3, and he never stops. You'll see, this is a through line throughout his entire life. He fucking loved firefighting. He would get distracted, as we'll see, if a fire truck drove by with its lights and sirens on during a game. He would just leave the game. Yeah. He would take off and go try to find the fire because he found that more entertaining.
Crazy move during a professional sporting event.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go do something else.
Yeah, he's so dominant, and it's funny because that's like one of the few ways, his craziness is like one of the only things that ever stops him. Yeah. Like sometimes he wouldn't throw what the catcher put down. Sometimes he would pick off to bases with no with no one covering the base. One time he had, because of the catcher thing, he one time had 12 wild pitches in 2 innings in a game.
And it was because the catcher in protest was like, you're not listening to the things I tell you.
He's like, if you don't throw what I call, I'm not going to catch it.
So they just whipped it past him. The guy was like, I'm not fucking catching it.
Which must have been an insane inning to see.
Or 2 innings. Of him going, like, fine, I'll throw a curveball when you say throw a curveball.
Yeah, he's like, all right. And he did I read that he admitted after that he was like, all right, I'll listen to the signs from now on.
You gotta show him why a thing's important, you know?
Yeah, you do.
That's not really a man that's gonna take things on face value.
And even then, it's real dicey.
It's hit or miss.
Even then, it's real dicey.
So he started his baseball career. I didn't know they did this, where back then in like the late 1800s, early 1900s, you like went to the minors first, and then a college team would pick you up, and then you'd go to the pros.
Yeah, you'd play on like a company team or like a
just private baseball happened more.
Yeah,
and so this college picked him up and paid him
Valant College.
Paid him $1. What was it, $1 a game?
I read it was up to $2 a game after the guy saw him pitch, and they passed a hat for him whenever he'd pitch.
Hell yeah. And then he got free chewing tobacco.
And free chewing tobacco, which really sealed the deal.
Rube was like, I'm in.
I'm so in.
Hot damn.
A flock of crows just landed outside, and I am thinking Rube would annihilate them. It's all I can think about right now, seeing these. They actually might be grackles, technically.
Yeah, hey.
But, you know, even worse.
No one's going to correct you.
Even worse for them.
A funny story from his college days is he was such a dominant pitcher that multiple times he had the rest of the defense get off the field.
Yeah.
And this was
he would do this in the majors later too.
Yeah.
He would call
he would tell in the majors he'd tell the outfield like just go in, boys,
come on in, and they would like maybe take a knee like behind second base.
Yeah.
and he would. I think Satchel Paige later might have done this same thing too. But what a cool move! Like
I love that Rube Waddell.
You have 24 hours to respond. If you watch Paul Skeens, man, he's fucking good.
Yeah, he's too tired from, just too proud of himself for banging Livy Dunn. He's just like, I'll be fine.
I'll be good.
He is on a bad team.
I don't need to get. Oh yeah, that sucks.
The worst part. He's such a dominant pitcher.
He's the new Otani.
Yeah,
he's always breaking records, and they're like, and the Pirates lost
36 and 100.
Yeah,
but what was I getting at?
He's in college.
Rube Waddell would do the anti-Babe Ruth.
Yes.
It's the opposite of the finger point.
Yes.
It's the defensive Babe Ruth pointing, calling a shot, is to go, defense, get off the field.
He hit him with the Uno reverse card.
And then he would strike him out.
Yeah.
How infuriating that must have been.
Yeah.
And he would do cartwheels off the field.
Yes, he was a huge shit talker. He would sometimes, like, he would respect some people that he faced, but mostly he was a massive shit talker. He would sing songs about the other team.
Yeah.
He would cartwheel. I heard he would, like, prance and cartwheel in front of the opposing team's dugout before games, like doing the old Larry Bird move of like saying like, all right, first I'm going to give you a fastball, then another fastball, and then one of my curves, and then you'll be out. And then he did it just like Larry would.
Good.
He was amazing. And yes, this is not his only college experience, by the way, which I love. Okay. He would later play for another college when he had already been in the major leagues for like 5 years. Also in college for Volant, he dominates the entire year for them. I think he didn't lose a game. Like he
averaged 15 strikeouts a game.
And for a 7-inning game, 15 Ks a game.
That means 6 people a game did not strike out.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He's just mowing them down, and then they get to the final game of the year. It's on commencement day for Volant College, and they're playing Mount Union, which stuck out to me. Mount Union's the Division III football powerhouse now.
Oh, wow.
They won, like, they have the Stag Bowl in Division III. They won like 1 million of those in a row. And then I think some school, Wisconsin, one of the UWs might have come and now but anyway, they're playing Mount Union. Everybody's hyped for it. Rube's gonna pitch. Then Rube hears there's a firefighting tournament, like a tournament for like firefighters skills. In nearby Greenville. And there's going to be a huge crowd. It's like a huge event. And he's a showman. He likes big crowds, and he loves firefighting shit. So combine the two, he bails and just and goes and does the firefighting tournament. Yeah,
which is a regular occurrence in his career.
Yeah,
but in 1896, he signed with the Louisville Colonels. Fred Clark, the club manager, fined Rube $50 for excessive drinking.
Yeah.
And so 2 days in, he just quit the team. It's like, fuck you guys. Like, nobody else gives a shit when I'm acting wild. Why do y'all?
Yeah, it was never a good match. When he first arrived, I read in Louisville, the night he arrived to the team hotel, he knocks. It's like 2:30 in the morning, and he goes and knocks on Fred Clark, his new manager, and he's a player manager. He'll be his teammate for like a long time. He knocks on Fred Clark's door. Fred Clark is dead asleep, of course, because it's 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And like the turn of the century, even later than it is now. And
nights were darker.
Yeah. He wakes up and is like, what the fuck do you want? And he's like, hey, I'm Rube Waddell, new pitcher. Nice to meet you. Just thought I should introduce myself. And he tells him, quote, to go fuck himself. And then so Rube then goes around and knocks on every door belonging to a member of the team to introduce himself at 2:30 in the morning. Then after all this, I like to think Fred Clark had just fallen back asleep. He knocks on Fred Clark's door and is like, hey, introducing myself to the fellas. By the way, you should probably check on that guy, William Hoy. He didn't answer his door. He's either out or sick or
something's wrong.
And then he's learns that William Hoy is a deaf mute.
Yes. His nickname?
Hit him.
You do it.
Dummy Hoy. His nickname is Dummy. Because fuck, the 1900s were so mean. Or the late 1800s.
Why do you call him Rube? Because he's a Rube? It's like, what about the deaf mute guy? It's like, old Dummy Hoyt.
Yeah. That's guys. Come on.
The guy can hit though. He really rakes.
I didn't look up his numbers. Did he really?
No, he didn't.
Oh.
I just wanted to say it.
Well, you wouldn't either if you couldn't speak or hear and had to hit with your hands apart like they did at the time.
It makes your other senses stronger. You know?
Yeah. No.
So after his brief trip with Louisville, which he'll end up back again, he goes to Detroit for 9 games. This time he's fined for playing a Sandlot game near the stadium with like neighborhood kids.
Yeah, which he did a lot.
He did a lot. Where he's just it's like reminded me of the Peyton Manning sketch from SNL when he's ripping balls. It's like, Rube is striking these children out.
Yeah, he's giving them some chin music. He's backing them off the plate.
Oh yeah.
Because that's the only way they'll learn to be good ball players.
Yes, you got to rip a 94-mile-an-hour fastball with their head sometimes.
Yeah, you have to let them hear it spin.
Yeah,
you have to put that by their ear.
But that cracked me up. And then after his
and he also got in trouble in Detroit. Wasn't Detroit the one where he rented a house from the team owner and never paid rent? Like his owner was his landlord, and he never once bothered to pay rent even once.
So he's been on 2 different teams to start his professional career, a grand total of like 12 days.
Yeah.
It's not a long time. And then he vanishes for several months, and no one knows where he is. And he's found working for a circus wrestling alligators.
Because of course.
Why? Yeah, a man. God forbid a man has a hobby.
Of course he is. Yeah, he acted like being a professional baseball player was like the most boring shit in the world. Like he was like, I just need adventure,
Yeah.
I need to get out there and fight some fires and wrestle some alligators.
And again, a regular occurrence throughout his career where teams would get mad at him, and the goal was to keep him busy off the field.
Yeah.
So they'd give him jobs. He was the team hunter.
Yeah, when he was playing for a team in Wisconsin once, they gave him a job as a hunter because he loved hunting, and they were pretty much like, just go hunt and be out of trouble.
Yeah. And so he'd literally feed like the staff with...
Oh yeah, he would wander away and shoot. One time he shot a bunch of ducks and brought them back for the team to eat, which they did because it was the late 1800s.
Yeah. He's just being a good dude.
Nobody would think Dwight was weird for bringing the goose in to the office if it was 1899.
A golden goose. But so then in the 1899 season, he joins the Western League Columbus Grand Rapids team. He's a fan favorite, won 27 games, was a crazy person. They enjoyed that for him.
Yeah.
His deal that he did his whole career.
Grand Rapids Prodigals.
The Prodigal Sons.
Weird ass fucking names on these teams.
He would show up like moments before. Normally people warm up for games. He didn't believe in it.
No.
He would come
Never seen a cheetah stretch.
Never seen a lion stretch.
Hell yeah. Sports lingo is all the same.
He believed in it, though. He would show up in street clothes, walk through the grandstands, and would steal beers and chug them.
It's an ECW entrance, essentially. He's an ECW fan favorite.
And I wrote down WWE intros.
Yeah.
This writes itself.
It happened in WWE, but I can't remember who it was because I wasn't an ECW kid, but there was someone that would always just show up in the crowd and then he would walk through the crowd. Maybe it was Sandman. I don't know, but that was his thing, is he would like pound beers and smoke because he was he was a troubled man.
He's a bad boy.
He was fighting in ECW.
But so he would
just smash the can.
He's walking through the stands, slamming beers, stealing people's hot dogs.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Jumps onto the field.
Stone Cold Steve Austin's music is playing in my head.
Into his uniform. On the field, he changes into his uniform.
And then, which he wouldn't wear underwear, by the way. He's hanging D for all these turn of the century. Apparently, that was one source I read said he never wore underwear, and he would just change on the field.
Yeah, like LBJ's Jumbo. It was a tactic of intimidation.
That's right.
Just kind of flopping at the opposing team.
He probably did. Maybe this was when he was doing his cartwheels. He would do the cartwheels between taking off his street clothes and putting on his uniform. It was all very ritualistic.
But teams figured out that he was pretty easy to distract, and it became a well-known thing.
Yeah.
Where It's puppies and shiny objects.
Yeah.
He's a raccoon. This man is a golden retriever.
Yes.
As a person. Just a big, violent golden retriever.
Yeah.
People would bring puppies, and he would literally, in the middle of games, would like stop and go like, pet the dog.
Can I pet that dog? He was the original Can I Pet That Dog kid. Only he wouldn't ask. He would just stop pitching in a Major League Baseball game to go over and pet the dog.
Yes.
He had to.
He had to do it.
You think you got to pet that dog?
People would have spoons and forks and get the sun to hit him right.
Like,
and they say he would be transfixed by it.
He's just staring into the glare.
He would zone out and kind of just like stare into the stand. Which so much of this story is like, you know, I have experience working with Special Olympics teams, and he loves fire trucks. He's not great with people.
What are you saying here? Do you think he could have been?
I think he could have been a very high functioning handicap man.
Had he been alive today, he might have been diagnosed with something.
He might have been on a couple spectrums.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. He, I mean, the fire trucks thing alone, like, to love fire trucks that much as not a firefighter. I mean, I guess he was kind of a firefighter technically, because he would wear red under. He would wear a red undershirt all the time. He would just join the fire departments of cities they were visiting.
Yes.
They would find him. He'd go missing, and he would have gone to the local firehouse.
Yeah, and he was
been
just
like, hey, y'all need a guy? I have lots of experience as a professional firefighter. And they'd go, yeah, all right. And then Connie Mack would show up 5 minutes later and be like, God damn it, Rube, he is not a firefighter.
Yeah.
I don't know what this man told you. But he's a very insane Major League Baseball pitcher.
Yes. Part of his pregame ritual was he was very into this ritual is he would go to a bar next to the like the field and he would get drunk.
Very George Jones.
End of ritual. But he would steal he would
I love that it's a ritual.
He would steal an apron and he would play bartender. And so he'd be serving patrons while slamming beers, and like 20 minutes later, just be like, all right, I got a thing to go do.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I got to go.
Yes.
I have. Major League Baseball was so fun back then.
What a fun, like, so yeah, then he goes back to Louisville with a new owner, Barney Dreyfuss.
Don't get me started on Barney Dreyfuss.
Yeah. But
in 1899, the Louisville team folds.
Was going to consolidate.
League is contracted, and so the best Louisville players become Pittsburgh Pirates. That includes our man Rube Wagner, who you might have heard of, and who has a really funny name, Honus Wagner.
Yeah.
God, that's fun to say. And our old guy Fred Clark, the angry player manager, the Jackie Moon of this whole operation. They all go to the Pittsburgh Pirates, but he really quickly runs afoul of the Pirates too.
Yes.
He dominates. He leads the National League in ERA that first year with them in 1900, but really quickly he gets suspended and ends up down in the semi-pro leagues. He goes to Punxsutawney first, and then
quick, why he got suspended?
Oh yeah, hit me.
He always carried pistols, and he got into an argument with the manager of the team. And he pulled a gun on him and said he was going to shoot him.
Oh, my God.
And they were like, hey, Rube, you can't do that.
That's the thing with Rube Waddell. Any story is more insane than the short version. There's no time when it's like it sounds crazier just to shorten it. The longer explanation is always insane. I kept running into this in researching this. Is everything you pull a thread on is another completely batshit story. I didn't even hear that one about him pulling the gun, but
so
really
he ends
funny.
up in Punxsutawney of Phil fame.
Yeah,
and then he ends up with Milwaukee shortly after.
Yeah, Connie Mack gets him here. The legend Connie Mack. He's at this point managing the Milwaukee Brewers of the brand new American League. It had just been invented in 1900.
And they say Mack was one of the only managers that really knew how to handle them.
Yeah, he was kind of the Rube Whisperer.
Because he did one of the greatest feats in baseball history in that he pitched us. They had a doubleheader, and Mack was like, hey, man, he loved fishing.
Yeah.
And so he would be like, hey, you got an all expenses paid 3-day fishing trip if you do good today. And so he pitched a 17-inning game.
Yeah, that was all Rube needed to do.
And then the second game, he continued to pitch and had a shutout.
Yeah, just different times.
So he pitched 26 innings of baseball.
That's
very well.
Yeah, that's.
Would you dangle a fishing trip in front of Rube, and he's like, "No, I'm not getting out."
Yeah, and I think didn't he like score the winning run in one of the games too? So he's completely dominant hero of the game. And then he really just sprints out and goes to, I forget they know the lake he went to, but it was some lake up near Milwaukee.
But Milwaukee was the team he started wearing red undershirts so that when fire trucks drove by and he would run and jump on them.
Yeah, he could
just seamlessly transition in. And Mac was like, if you want him to pitch,
you're going to have to do some wild shit.
Every sixth game, he's going to run away and join a fire truck.
Yeah.
You just have to accept it.
It's just part of the deal. It's just part of the Rube Waddell experience. But so eventually he's pitching so well for Milwaukee that Pittsburgh's like, wait a minute, give that crazy son of a bitch back. We need him.
There was a deal where,
and then he really quickly runs afoul of them again. This is a theme.
It was a contract dispute where they were like, he pulled a gun on us, but we never technically fired him, so we actually own the rights to him.
Yeah.
And so they made him leave Milwaukee and come back after having some success. And then 2 days later, they still fire him.
Yeah.
Because he's just a lunatic.
Yeah, they're like, all right, I want to know what he did from the time he got back to Pittsburgh. Like, what was the last straw in this scenario? Because, they're like, oh, man, he's really putting it together out there. And then they bring him back, and within hours, they're like, no, never mind. Sorry. No.
Yeah.
We can't do this after all.
1901, he goes with the Chicago Orphans.
The Chicago Orphans.
Terrible old-timey baseball name.
They're the Cubs. They still exist, but they were called the Orphans for like a year.
Just the Chicago sad kids.
Like, the world is sad right now. It's 1900. Let's just lean into it. The Chicago Orphans.
I would like to think they weren't affiliated with a league, and so they were like the odd man out.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of reasons why a team of adults got together and went, what should we call ourselves? It's like the Orphans.
Definitely the Orphans.
That's badass.
This was a dark time in baseball team naming. They were fucking. There was some weird shit out there. Remember the Prodigals earlier?
Yep.
What the fuck was that about? But anyway, the Chicago Orphans, they have a real hard-ass manager, and he says mandatory morning workouts for everybody, even if you're undiagnosed insane and off your meds. But, of course, Rube does not show up to a single morning workout. That's not his shit. It's not anything Rube wants to do. So he is really quickly suspended. So he goes back down to semi-pro. That's at this point he's pitching in Wisconsin, Racine, and Kenosha, and apparently fishing his ass off. This is the time too when his manager's like, by the way, in the off season, I'm going to pay you to stay here and hunt and not do wild shit on the streets.
Because they couldn't stop him from he alligator wrestled during the offseason for a large portion of his career, unless teams specifically gave him things to do.
It was just a passion of his.
It was like a criminal falling back into a life of crime. he just can't stay out of the swamps for too long.
It was like some guys like ride a motorcycle and they're like they can't stop. They're like I gotta get out there on that hog, you know. Yeah. That was his version of that was wrestling fucking alligators.
But so that thrill.
So he's in Wisconsin. Then he gets on with a barnstorming team that goes out to California. While in California, he gets on with a semi-pro team called the Los Angeles Lulus.
Yep.
Terrible team name. I prefer the Orphans, frankly.
Yeah.
But then this is when his old friend Connie Mack, who is now the manager of the Philadelphia A's, a big-time major league team, he hears that fucking Rube is pitching for the Bush Leagues in goddamn California.
Yeah.
California?
And
how do you think Connie Mack would say California? He would definitely say it in a funny way.
Oh, for sure.
California?
But he ends up in Philly, which the city
He
embraces
sent Pinkerton agents to get him, by
They
the
had to
way,
get
too.
Federal
Why?
agents to subdue a minor league pitcher.
This is a man who knows, like,
He was kidnapped to go play for the Philadelphia A's.
they're like, we could probably just send like a regular person out to fetch him, and he's like, oh no.
Mac was just like,
No.
for the love of God, don't do
No,
that.
please. You need Pinkertons at least.
Yeah.
Maybe some Bowery boys and no, they were already dead by
So
that
he
time
was
from the-
kidnapped to go play professional baseball.
with the A's, and it's with the A's that he is he's at his best. He has the best seasons of his career.
He doesn't settle down. He quits doing like crazy stuff, wrestling alligators, but he still drinks a ton. But
Yeah.
Philly loves him for that.
Yeah.
Like he drinks with people. They don't care if he plays baseball with little kids. Like he's a man about town,
Yeah.
and they love him.
Oh, he's very much a Philly guy. He would have the Jason Kelsey podcast spot if he existed nowadays.
Which I have took a picture of a little book here where readers of the era need no further explanation. Waddell spent years refining his reputation for being incorrigible. Traded to the A's for in the 1902 season by the Cubs, who had bought him from the Pirates in 1901, whose no-nonsense manager Fred Clark just couldn't take him anymore. It took several Pinkerton detectives actually to deliver him to Philadelphia. In 1903, Waddell had a good season, once he finally bothered to show up in June. He won 21 games and led the league in strikeouts with 302. It was a busy year in other ways, too. He also starred on vaudeville, led a marching band through Jacksonville, got engaged, married, and separated, rescued a log from drowning. He thought it was a woman. Accidentally shot a friend and was bitten by a lion. Throughout his career, Waddell skipped games to go fishing and skipped debts he found annoying. Among his more respectable hobbies were chasing fires. He adored fire engines and wrestling alligators. He once taught geese to skip rope. Yeah. Huey Jennings, manager of the Tigers, used to try to distract him from the sidelines by waving children's toys. Big year for Waddell. Philly really...
Huge year. He's having a great time.
Yeah.
He's pitching his ass off. He's leading the league in strikeouts. He will lead the league in strikeouts for the next 6 years. He's riding, and again, just dusting everybody else, just destroying the field. But yeah, he's chasing after fire trucks. 1903 is this. He's in a melodrama called The Stain of Guilt.
Yes.
It's actually his second acting experience. And back in 1900, he dabbled in vaudeville. He was part of Heinemann and Kummer's Union Scout Touring Company, and a magazine called The Sporting Life reported Rube Waddell to make a clown of himself for cheap theatrical gain.
They just paid him, and he showed up, and he liked it. He could drink all he wanted, but he couldn't remember any lines.
Which he had very few to begin with.
And so they just let him improvise everything. They're like, you speak 3 times, do what feels right, big guy.
Do what feels right. We're on you, dog. And then his big moment was he would physically pick up and throw the villain across the stage.
Yeah.
A good like 10 feet. Apparently it was quite a throw. He really got some
became
distance.
quite a deal because he was really throwing this man. It was like a contest for him every show. Just I think I can get him through the wall.
Well, by the way, that's acting in my book. All
Yes.
right. You think Timothy Chalamet is so great? How far can he throw a guy?
Yeah,
huh?
not very
Let's see
far.
it. Let's see him. Let's see him throw the bad guy in his next movie.
Ball's in your court, Tim.
Balls in your court, Timothy Chalamet. But so, very funny. And then he was going to be in another play in 1904 called A Daring Woman, but that one was never actually staged.
Yeah.
Which I think is sad.
I did like during this time, he came afoul of a couple catchers throughout his career.
He did.
The first one being the guy that wouldn't catch balls if he disagreed. The second being
Aussie Shrekenghost.
They shared bedrooms.
Aussie Shrekenghost.
And much like the Willy Wonka parents.
They called him Shrek.
Yeah, they called him Shrek. Sweet. They shared a bed, like a big bed.
Yes.
You know?
This was Major League Baseball in 1900.
Major League Baseball,
They
baby.
didn't pay him very
That
much.
But he would share a bed with Rube, and part of his contract dispute, it was one of the first times in professional sports they had like an extended contract delay.
Yeah.
Because, people weren't negotiating that hard. The money wasn't huge yet. And his only stipulation was that Rube wasn't allowed to eat crackers in bed.
Yeah.
Which is a very married argument.
Yes, it's so fucking funny. He wrote a letter to Connie Mack to outlining this, saying either can I get a new roommate or can we put something in the contract that says he is not allowed to eat animal crackers in bed. The letter itself is available online. It says in part, while I did not mind Rube bringing mockingbirds and a reptile or two into our sleeping apartments down south, I do object to his habit of eating crackers in bed. This Rube does nightly. Not a single night last spring did Waddell retire without his south paw containing a dozen crackers, many of them resembling animals. These are the animal crackers we know, I think, which is fun. You know, it's like we're in history here. Had it stopped here, all would have been, by the time Rube, or Eddie as he wishes to be called in Southland, had got outside of these crackers, I was in anything but a sleepy mood, due in a measure to his crunching of the crackers. It did not seem to interfere with Eddie. He would turn over and go to sleep at once when through. So, you know, he's like, please, for the love of God, stop him from eating animal crackers.
Which the primary reason for all this is he is a disgusting drunk.
Yeah.
He is constantly shit-faced. Really makes a lot of the behavior make sense in hindsight.
Yeah.
If you go like, oh, he's 14 beers deep at all of these times.
That's right. And he's...
In 1908, he ends up going to the St. Louis Browns. As much as Philly loved him, he just started kind of having some behavior issues, and it was too much to overlook.
Yeah, Connie Mack still liked him. He said that he hoped he made good with the Browns, not only for the team's sake, but for his own benefit, as he certainly is a star twirler when he is right.
Yeah, which a couple drinking stories of his. This was from a newspaper at the time, which is about him pretty much abusing his wife. Miss Rube is all twisted.
Yeah, that's the dark side of Rube. It's all fun in games except for...
Rube Waddell, erstwhile pitcher. I don't know what erstwhile means, but it sounds like a perfect word to describe him.
Former, I think?
Oh, erstwhile pitcher for the St. Louis Browns was in police court today to explain why he mistook his bride of 3 months for a top and tried to spin her around on the floor on her head.
What does erstwhile mean?
He got arrested.
He thought he was a top. All right, that's some like, what's that king that was so insane that thought he was glass? That's his level of shit.
Yeah, that's a very drunk man trying to explain throwing his wife around. But, another thing is he gave up a home run in a game, but he was so drunk that they hit the ball over him, and then he laid down and passed out on the mound. He just fucking went. He had a home run and just went, daff.
You know what?
Just cashed in the chips.
Over today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna nap on the mound, which you're not allowed. You're not. I don't know if y'all have played much baseball competitively, but you're not supposed to do that.
You're not supposed to sleep during the game.
You're not supposed to drunkenly pass out.
He fought a fan during a game where, and I'm gonna read the insult because it was during a game. He got the ball back, walked to the stands. And it says, this guy yelled, "Say there, Rube. How are the folks at home? And do they comb their hair with a curry comb down in Pensy yet?" I don't know what that means.
I don't either. And I read it too. I was like, you know what? I don't know.
But this man implied that his loved ones combed with curry combs.
Is some blind tiger jerking suds on the side? That's what I thought. Rex Banner.
So he needed to be struck, and he
needed to get the shit kicked out of him. And you know what? I'm glad Rube did. He in 1911, a former teammate of his named Topsy. What was his name? Topsy Hartzell. All right.
Okay.
In the Chattanooga News, he gave an account of a 1905 night out with Rube that kind of goes back to the drinking. There's not really any specific drinking in it, but you get the sense that Rube was shithoused for all of this. It was kind of the source of a lot of this. But okay, in 1911, this particular evening, Rube approached me and explained we could have the time of our lives if we so inclined. First of all, said he, we would go to supper. We did, but supper was interrupted to some extent because Mr. Waddell, happening to meet a man in the dining room he did not like, smote him over the bean with a whitefish. He hit the guy.
He's doing Three Stooges stuff.
And also, that's the funniest way anyone
has ever been accosted.
Described. let's get Topsy Hartzell fucking righty. What a wordsmith. So after
I hope my bean never gets smote by a whitefish.
God, don't we all?
You'd rue the day.
You would rue the fucking day. So they leave. They're like, this place sucks. It's full of people who you have to hit with whitefish. Let's go to the Playhouse, Rube says. They love me down there from my acting. And so they go, and they do love him at the Playhouse. It's very fun. They get to go backstage, and the guy's like, this is awesome. It's like a romantic Western is going on stage while they're dicking around backstage, shaking hands and stuff. At the emotional climax of the play, it's very silent in the Playhouse. It's just the hero and heroine on stage. They're looking deeply into each other's eyes. And then Rube backstage shoots a stage gun, ruins the play, ruins the moment. They get him and Topsy get thrown out on their asses into the alley behind the Playhouse. And then I love his response to this. Rube says to Topsy, "They are not gentlemen in there." Let's go to the theater where Howard Hall is playing. He's a pal of mine. So they go to the show. Howard Hall's The Man Who Dared, which uses a bunch of live lions. Yeah. And Rube, of course, is dicking around with the lions. He pulls one's tail. It bites him, lifts him up by the arm, and drops him. In doing so, leaving a huge gash in his arm and tearing off his shirt sleeve. And for fucking with the lions, they throw them out on their asses into the alley once again. And then Rube says, Rube knows Connie Mack is going to be pissed. He is not going to be happy that his star pitcher got bit by a lion this evening in drunken hijinks. So he says, tells Topsy, "Don't forget now, we had a row with a couple of guys that said Connie Mack was a no-good son of a hyena." And one of them slashed me with a knife when I defended Connie's reputation. You got a black eye. That makes the play a deal stronger. Maybe we can touch him for $20 each if we tell it good.
It's like, not only am I not going to get in trouble, we're defending his honor. I'm getting brownie points.
The audacity.
If we really sell this, I think we can both come out on top.
I think he might just give us money.
Just give us cash.
I think we could parlay this getting bit by a lion and our asses kicked by a bunch of stagehands into some cold, hard cash.
That was like a standard night out with Rube Waddell.
Yep. And Topsy ended it by saying he never went out with Rube Waddell again, which I think is fair. But that's 1905. This is all, they're like winning the league. That was when they were at their best. They go to the World Series. He never pitches in the World Series, which is a whole other story. He got, back in the day, men would wear straw boater hats, but before Labor Day, on Labor Day, men would take off their bowler hats and or their boater hats and punch a hole through the top of them. And it was also fashionable if you saw a man wearing a straw boater after Labor Day, you could take it from him and punch it.
Hell yeah,
and it was allowed. It was like the restaurant where they cut your tie. You know,
it's like Dick's Last Resort, but everyone's a waiter. You know,
kind of like that deal. Yeah. But so some guy got joined the team, came on the train, and Rube sees he's wearing a straw boater hat, and he's like, I'm gonna fucking punch a hole through that. And so he goes to grab it and gets like, there's a fight, there's like a scuffle, they're knocking a bunch of shit over, and he ends up injuring his shoulder. Or does he? They also think that he might have not pitched because New York gamblers paid him money not to pitch in the World Series. But in either case,
after his night out with the Lion, he's not afraid to lie for a story. You know,
he is not afraid to lie for a story. He still wins the pitching Triple Crown, even though he doesn't pitch all the month of September. He wins pitching's Triple Crown, leads in wins, ERA, and strikeouts, which is, that's...
he had an excellent career.
That's really good.
And then towards the end, it kind of faltered. And in 1910, he goes back to the minors, and he starts bouncing around a ton. And then... and he's like 30 now. He died at 37, but he's credited with directly saving like 13 or 14 people's lives. Yeah, like saving people from drowning or pulling them out of fires.
Yeah, it's actually how he died. Was he? That was the beginning of his health problems.
In 1912, a dam broke, and he stood in cold water for 13 hours.
Yeah, in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Hickman, Kentucky, actually.
Which he developed, what was it?
Pneumonia.
Pneumonia, and he never fully recovered.
He recovered the first time. Then there was another flood the next year that was like as bad. That was back-to-back floods, and he did the same thing, developed pneumonia again, and then really quickly was diagnosed with tuberculosis in Minneapolis.
He went down to San Antonio, which I guess they had like I don't know what they were called, tuberculosis centers. Where
like a sanitariums.
It's like, just let them go die here, I guess.
And dry air. I think they thought like it was good to go down south for the dry
But so he passed away in 1914 of tuberculosis.
A goddamn hero.
And he received an unmarked grave in San Antonio, but teammates got him a headstone, and it says, Rube Waddell had only one priority: to have a good time.
Hell yeah. He said, I'm not here for a long time.
I'm here for a good time.
All right.
You got any alligators around here?
He, one of a kind. He owned bears. He had a bear named Connie Mack and a bear named Ty Cobb.
So, do you have closing thoughts on Rube Waddell?
Get it, number 2. Yeah, I have a couple of additional stories that I found that I liked a lot. One of them involved. I said he went back to college. That his Volant experience wasn't his only college experience. In 1903, he is the reigning, AL strikeout champion. But he goes down to Florida for spring training a little early. And while down there, apparently Rollins College and Stetson had a huge rivalry back in the day. It was getting real close to when Stetson and Rollins were going to play. And this guy, William C. Temple, part owner of the Pittsburgh Pirates, he's on the board of trustees at Rollins. He hears that what's it called? Stetson is getting a bunch of ringers from the University of Illinois. So he says, fuck that. I know this guy, Rube Waddell. I'm going to get him. The reigning AL strikeout leader. Very Mr. Burns in the baseball episode of Simpsons. He just gets Rube Waddell. Rube Waddell comes in. But, of course, the catcher for Rollins College cannot catch Rube Waddell in the least. So, eventually, they just get our guy, Aussie Schreckenghost, to come in and catch for him. So, they just have the battery of the Philadelphia A's for this game against Stetson. And the story goes that Stetson showed up and was just like, yeah, we're not doing that. We're not playing against Rube Waddell.
Yeah.
This maniac who throws hard as fuck, who can break boards with his fastball, according to legend. Also, while in Jacksonville, Rube was depressed. He was hanging out with Ozzie Schreckenghost, Shrek, on a pier that jutted out over the ocean, and he was depressed about a woman breaking up with him. And he was like, I want to kill myself. And Shrek, I guess he was sick of his shit at this point, and he goes, do it. And so
you know how friends are.
So yeah, exactly. So Rube jumps off the pier, narrowly missing a bunch of jagged rocks below, and then he swims to the shore. He like glad hands with some fans on the beach and knocks over some boards with them with a baseball. I guess they had a baseball. So he knocks over a few boards for him, and then he walks back out on the pier and jumps again.
His buddy is just like,
do it,
pussy. And then he tries, and he goes, oh shit, he jumped. And then he gets sidetracked by fans, and it's just like, I'll throw some baseballs around.
He was thinking of nothing but the crackers when he said, do it. He was like, please.
Just no more crackers in bed.
Please, I wish you would.
One of my favorite things about him, my final thought on him is he got arrested for bigamy because he married a lot of women. And by the end of his life, he did not know how many women he married. Because he wasn't doing the appropriate paperwork.
Yeah, no.
Which it's like you can lose track of, if you were wild in your 20s and had sex with a lot of ladies, you can forget a name or two. But not marriages.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You think you could name them all,
That's crazy. Yeah, you really would. But he couldn't. Which is, he's, again, just one of a kind. Who can't remember all their wives?
One of a kind, Rube Waddell. We hardly knew ye.
But yeah,
you got any stuff going on, Scotty? Does anyone call you Scotty? I've never called you Scotty.
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay.
I've done some cool shows the last couple weeks. I did the Beeman Hotel. That was fun. And then I did.
How was the crowd for that?
It was pretty good.
Nice.
It looked like it was going to be stark when we first got there, but it ended up being pretty good.
I did that one not too long ago,
and
it was stark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. Yeah, and that, I mean, it can be tough if there's not enough people, because the way it just is shared the room with the bar, so you get all that
Background noise.
ambient noise. And then I did Petticolas Brewing.
Nice, that looked fun.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Was that a Next Stop show?
It was. Yeah.
Nice. I'm headlining a Next Stop comedy show in Alexandria, Louisiana on July 19th.
Oh, snap.
So I'm excited for that. That'd be
Hell
fun.
yeah.
They got us in a cool hotel and two openers with Danny McGow and Jacob Marshall.
Oh, damn.
So it'll be fun.
Yeah, that's badass.
Then I'm headlining June 26th in San Diego at the Mic Drop Comedy Club. So if you know anyone in California, San Diego, you like the show, let them know.
Come on out.
I'll post about it, but
We love Anchorman.
Yeah.
We love Manny Machado.
I had my first irrational dad anxiety,
Yeah.
where we watched 28 Days Later at the fire station.
Oh, snap.
Great movie.
Yeah. I've never
But then
seen it.
I literally lost sleep, like tossing and turning in bed, thinking of how my family would handle a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
And I was just like, my wife's a liability.
Okay.
100%. Very great woman. Survival instincts in specifically a zombie apocalypse.
What makes her so susceptible?
She's refuses to run.
Okay.
Can't do that. If there's ever a situation where we have to cover ground quickly, gone.
But what if you? But you could commandeer a four-wheeler though.
Thank you. I didn't think about this. Yeah.
Think about.
But now
you gotta
when gas
think, there's
runs
nobody
out.
guarding those four-wheeler stores, or there might be. There might be roving four-wheeler store.
That'll be the
gangs.
first place the roving gangs of people go to guard is the four-wheeler
The
store.
goddamn four-wheeler shop, son of a bitch.
But it cracked me up.
Kawasaki. I should have known.
Kawasaki Ninja's cool.
Kawasaki, those
Ninjas
things
rule.
dude. Those things would be perfect in an apocalypse.
But I literally did lose sleep being like, fuck, if the zombie apocalypse happens, I got to raise this kid by myself. Like,
It's gonna be tough, but I'll learn.
I got to get Taylor jogging or something.
I'll learn. Just get her a couple of butterfly knives and one of those guides on knife combat, and then it won't matter if she can run.
Yeah, that'll be our next
The butterfly knife tricks.
our next anniversary. She's going to be wildly disappointed with her gift.
It is
multiple butterfly knives.
And she's like, more? And you're like, yeah, I mean, you're going to need a lot.
Yeah.
She's like, how many birthdays is this going to
Baby,
go on?
please stop buying me Ninja Stars. No, not until you can effectively use them.
Oh, man. That's so funny. Yeah. I haven't really thought that much about that. Aside from the four-wheeler idea.
Yeah. And that was just shooting from the hip.
That was just shooting from the hip.
Yeah.
And it might not, maybe you'd be better off with just like a Ford Super Duty.
Hell yeah, brother. Where do you run into the gasoline situation, though? It depends on how long this ordeal lasts.
Yeah, that's true.
But,
yeah. Is it, maybe motorcycles. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, because gas is so precious. That's like one of the big things.
In all of them, yeah.
In all of them.
But yeah, that's what's going on with me. I did the Dumb Zone generic summer event.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Fucking blast.
Yeah, that
It was
looks
awesome.
cool.
Like 300-400 people showed up. Big crowd. It was a fun show. Yeah, those guys are great. Dumb Zone.
Hell yeah.
Dan and Jake and Blake. The Beehive. That's what Blake's fans are called. The Beehive.
Hell yeah. I love it.
Cracks me up. But yeah, I'm super thankful. They always include me in things, and it's very nice of them. And you can go see Scott and I were on there a couple months ago.
Yeah,
you
that's
go
right.
to their YouTube channel. I forget the date. You can figure it out, though.
You can figure it out. It was a good time. Yeah, those guys rule. I turned into Mr. Bean for a minute this week.
Tell me about it.
I hate when that happens. Don't you hate when that happens?
The worst guy to turn into.
It's only briefly, but you ever do that? Like my girlfriend was working. She was doing work, like work.
Yeah.
Like trying to concentrate. And I'm trying to be like good out of the way, man. But I'm going to make a yogurt bowl. and I I put the yogurt in, and then I take the blueberries, and there's a thing of blueberries sitting on a thing of strawberries, but we're almost out of blueberries, so I've gotten a new one. So there's already a blueberry thing, and there's barely enough room on top of the strawberries for the blueberries. So I make it, and I just spend like 5 minutes putting it on top, and either it falls to the side or falls down. And each time it's making a louder noise. And after the third time, I'm like, whew, all right, what's happening here?
We're falling apart.
I need to fucking, I don't know.
Lock in.
I don't know.
Lock in, Scott.
I think I eventually took out all the berries and then set them in a stable mass outside, and then put them all as one back in, and it somehow didn't crash.
Yeah,
but that was it was real humbling.
Yeah,
to not be able to set the blueberries on the strawberries.
Really zooms into focus. If you answer this question, were you super duper high?
No regular high.
Just the regular amount of high.
That's the thing. It wasn't. No, I might have been. I don't know. Probably. Maybe I was.
This might explain it. This sounds like a very...
That might explain it.
Like, wow, 20/20 vision just happened.
Like, oh, man. Oh, that was the other thing. Speaking of this week, I went to the ophthalmologist.
Yeah?
Yeah. You know what?
You proud of that one? Ophthalmologist?
Ophthalmologist. I've been thinking about that word a lot. It's a weird word.
Worked in recruiting and talked to doctors a lot. And an ENT, an otorhinolaryngologist. I had to learn how to say that.
Oh, that's crazy.
Because you're talking to doctors. I was like 21, just doing like a bullshit phone sales job. I remember I tried to say it one time.
Yeah.
And just butchered it. And now you're just like talking to a doctor on the phone, just being like, you want to move to Pittsburgh or not, my guy? I'm talking to you on the phone. I'm the recruiter. I'm not a doctor. I don't know how to say things.
Yeah. All right. Look down your nose at me over the phone, you son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch.
But yeah, I've always more often than not slept in. I sleep in I have soft contacts. I sleep in them a fair amount, and I always think they're going to give me shit about it, and they never have until this last time. It was a new ophthalmologist, and she was like, "Oh yeah, you shouldn't sleep in your contact." And I was like, "I haven't heard this. Apparently, it's the biggest deal in the world." She's like, "I wish they wouldn't have even advertised that way that you can sleep in them."
Yeah,
and I was like, "Look, lady, your beef's with the contact company, is not me."
Not me.
But it also makes me wonder, like, was my former ophthalmologist even an ophthalmologist at all? It seems like he was giving me such counter advice to this lady. He was like, "No, you're good."
Yeah, they'll dry out in a week or two. Just pop them out.
Yeah, he was pretty much like, "Yeah, you take it. I mean, you just take them out and put on your glasses for a day, like every once in a while.
Do what feels right, brother.
You're fine." This lady's like, "Your corneas are gasping for air."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, no, we talking down on my corneas now."
Well, it's nice to know that Scott's ocular health will be improving soon.
That's right. But I'm good now. I've been taking them out. I've been real responsible since it's apparently the biggest goddamn thing in the world.
Yes.
Everyone's health and wellness depends on me taking out my
contacts.
No, but shout out. I appreciate those people. I needed that new contacts prescription, so I had to go do the song and dance.
You got to do it.
Early in the morning, so I was with all the olds.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Working the fireman schedule, 24 on, 48 off. I'm only with the olds and stay-at-home moms for any activity I do.
So much of my life. That's when I like to go to the grocery store too.
Yeah. Dude. I haven't been in like the peak time at the gym or a busy time at the grocery store in like 5 years.
Yeah.
Because I just won't do it.
Oh, it's one of the great joys in life. Like an empty, mostly empty grocery store. Traipse around there. Oh, it's a great time.
But enough about groceries.
For this week, anyway.
For this week.
Join us next week. Oh, we'll give you the history of groceries.
Yeah.
No, we won't. It's something else, probably, though.
Have a good one. Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Hail
Smash
Satan.
that motherfucking subscribe button. We love you all.
Jimmy and Scott digging through the past. Crazy tales they uncover fast. History's stranger than you think. They'll also talk about wieners in a blink. They'll talk about wieners in a blink. Oddball history.